Should Christians listen to secular music? This is a question that many believers wrestle with. Secular musicians often possess immense talent, and their music can be highly entertaining. However, we also witness a trend where secular music is becoming increasingly more Antichrist. Take, for instance, Eminem's new album, The Death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grace. This album has been performing exceptionally well both critically and commercially. Released on July 12, 2024, the album marks Eminem's 12th studio project and presents a conceptual narrative centered around the internal conflict between Eminem and his alter ego, Slim Shady. The album set a record on Spotify, becoming the most streamed album in a single day for 2024 with 63 million streams, surpassing previous records held by other artists according to Sinusoidal Music. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, dethroning Taylor Swift's album after a 12-week reign, as noted by Sinusoidal Music. However, the content of some of the songs raises significant concerns. Allow me to read some of the song titles on the album. The 5th song on the album is titled Evil, the 7th song is called Lucifer, and the 8th song is titled Antichrist. In the 8th song, Antichrist, the chorus goes as follows. Marshall, he's the Antichrist. He will slice and dice men, women, and children. One more time, come on. His name is Marshall. He's the Antichrist. Here, Eminem hyperbolically states that he is the Antichrist. While no one actually thinks he is the Antichrist, one has to wonder why an artist would create a song centered around such a theme. There is a clear shift in modern music becoming more Antichrist. The impact of secular music is not limited to one genre. For instance, the hip-hop and rap genre often contain explicit lyrics that glorify violence, substance abuse, and immoral behavior. Some of the music literally glorifies living a legal lifestyle. While some argue that it is just music, the messages conveyed can have a significant impact on listeners, particularly young and impressionable minds. The Bible instructs us in Philippians 4, verse 8, "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things." This verse challenges Christians to consider whether the music they listen to aligns with these virtues. I remember a story about a young man who used to be a gangster. In his testimony, he spoke of the power of music. Whenever he was about to commit a robbery or a drive-by shooting, he would be absolutely terrified. He didn't want to commit the crime, fearing getting caught or hurting someone. However, as soon as he put his headphones on and started playing heavy rock music, his fear disappeared. He no longer cared about the consequences or the harm he might cause. It was as if a demonic courage came upon him. Many of us have experienced something similar, though not identical. There were certain songs I used to listen to while lifting weights at the gym. Something about those songs enabled me to push harder and lift heavier weights. Music has power. Now, consider what happens when you listen to songs that talk about sex, lust, fornication, and adultery. Do you think such songs draw you closer to the Lord or closer to the lusts of the flesh? You might wonder why you struggle with a particular sin, but if you spend all day and night listening to songs that encourage that very sin, it's no surprise. Many people listen to songs without caring about the lyrics. They know every word, but have never stopped to consider what the lyrics are conveying. Sadly, some mainstream songs actively worship the devil, and churchgoers sing these secular songs because they are catchy and have a nice beat. I've read articles where former occult members state that some music videos represent occult ceremonies. This doesn't surprise me. Does it surprise you? I want to encourage you to be selective about what you listen to and what you play in your home. Understand that the devil will do all he can to enter a person's life. More and more, I see so-called Christian artists whose music is no different from secular music. As the body of Christ, we are called out of the world, not to be like the world. Just because a song mentions God 3 times doesn't mean it's a Christian song or that the artist is a Christian. Be discerning with the music you listen to, even if it is labeled as Christian. Ask yourself if the music is exalting a man or Jesus. Music, a powerful gift from God, designed to uplift, inspire, and bring us closer to Him, has been twisted and corrupted. It has become a tool for spreading messages that are not only secular, but increasingly evil and Antichrist. This is a sobering subject that requires our attention and action because musicians and their music profoundly shape the culture of our world. There is an invisible hand at work, moving nations, influencing Hollywood, and dictating the trajectory of the music industry. This hand belongs to none other than the devil himself, who is no longer hiding his presence in music. We are witnessing a deliberate and calculated effort to corrupt and lead astray, and the evidence is all around us. This invisible hand operates subtly, often masking its true intentions under the guise of entertainment and artistic expression. It uses the allure of fame, fortune, and power to seduce artists, leading them to propagate messages that align with its dark agenda. The devil knows the profound impact that music has on the human soul. It can uplift and inspire, or it can corrupt and destroy. By infiltrating the music industry, he seeks to exploit this power for his own sinister purposes. One way this influence manifests is through the normalization of sin. Songs that glorify promiscuity, drug use, violence, and rebellion against authority are prevalent. They portray these behaviors as desirable, fun, and without consequence. This normalization desensitizes listeners, especially the young and impressionable, to the gravity of sin. What was once shocking and unacceptable has become commonplace and even celebrated. Moreover, the devil's influence is evident in the increasing presence of occult symbolism and themes in music videos and performances. Pentagrams, all-seeing eyes, and other symbols associated with satanic worship are becoming more frequent. These are not mere coincidences or artistic choices. They are deliberate efforts to introduce and normalize dark spiritual elements. The performers, often unaware of the full implications, become unwitting pawns in this larger spiritual battle. The lyrics themselves often contain blasphemous and rebellious themes, subtly or overtly encouraging listeners to question or outright reject God. This can be seen in songs that promote self-idolatry, where the individual is exalted above all else, directly contradicting the biblical principle of humility and submission to God's will. The invisible hand's goal is to shift the focus away from God and place it on the self, creating a culture of narcissism and spiritual apathy. Music has changed dramatically over the years, and it is progressively getting worse. What once were songs of love and genuine affection have now become songs of lust and immoral desires. The lyrics and messages in many of today's popular songs glorify behaviors that are contrary to God's teachings. These so-called love songs are often nothing more than lust-driven anthems that celebrate sin and fleshly desires. We must remember that music holds great power. It has the ability to influence our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. In 1 Samuel 16, verse 23, we see how David's music had the power to soothe King Saul's troubled spirit. Similarly, today's music has the power to either draw us closer to God or pull us away from Him. Unfortunately, much of modern secular music is doing the latter, promoting a lifestyle that is far removed from the righteousness God calls us to. Take a look at the trajectory of the world and Hollywood. It is clear that the music industry is becoming more explicit and blasphemous. Artists are now openly mocking God, promoting drug use, sexual immorality, and violence. Songs that top the charts are filled with profanity and messages that desensitize us to sin. This is not just harmless entertainment. It is spiritual poison being fed to our souls. The Bible warns us about the times we are living in. In 2 Timothy 3, verse 1-5, it says, "But mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power. Have nothing to do with such people." Musicians hold a significant role in shaping culture. They are idolized, their words are memorized, and their lifestyles are emulated. When these influential figures use their platforms to promote darkness, it has a ripple effect on society. Young minds, in particular, are highly impressionable and are being led astray by the messages they consume through music. It is almost as if the devil is no longer hiding himself in music. We see symbols and imagery associated with the occult and satanic practices openly displayed in music videos and concerts. The lyrics often contain subtle and sometimes not so subtle references to rebellion against God. This is not a coincidence. It is a deliberate effort to promote an Antichrist agenda. Lyrics play a crucial role in shaping our thoughts and beliefs. When we listen to songs repeatedly, their messages can become ingrained in our minds. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 4, verse 23, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." We must guard our hearts against the corrupting influence of ungodly music. Lyrics that glorify sinful behavior, degrade human dignity, and blaspheme God's name are harmful to our spiritual well-being. The devil is cunning and often disguises evil as something appealing and harmless. In 2 Corinthians 11, verse 14, we read, "And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light." Modern secular music can be enticing with its catchy tunes and rhythms, but we must look beyond the surface and discern the underlying messages. What appears harmless can lead us away from the path of righteousness.